All right. So we will quickly recap the program structure, and then I'm going to go through the feedback both from the mentor perspective, then the mentee perspective. And then I got some really good individual comments both through the surveys and emails, so I'll share some of those. And then I've got a summary of my additional thoughts just as I've been working through this program the past month. And then I want to hear from you guys, and then we'll review what's coming next in the program, and then we'll have plenty of time for an open discussion. And feel free to chime in at any time, just come off mute and holler or put your thoughts in the chat. So let me get started here. All right, so just as a reminder, we've got a 3-month program. So the way it's structured every month is the first thing is a monthly live meeting. So either face-to-face or virtual phone call, Skype, Teams, Zoom, etc. And we were giving folks a 1-hour discussion guide for those with specific topics and some best practices for mentors and for mentees. And then about midway through each month, we asked the mentors to send an async email check-in, and we gave a template with questions, and those are consistent every month. And then at the end of each month, I send feedback surveys, one for mentors and one for mentees. And we're using that to evaluate this pilot and figure out what adjustments we want to make before we go live. And then at the end of this whole pilot, we'll do a graduation ceremony. So the monthly meeting structure, just a little more detail. So that first 1-hour meeting with tailored discussion guides, the async check-in, and then a survey. So the first month that was run through middle of July through middle of August. We had a couple folks that were straggling a little bit more because they had vacation early in that time frame, but that's totally fine. It's a pilot. I kind of expected the dates would be a little bit fluid, but we did get good feedback. I think over 80% of folks participated in the surveys, which is a pretty good response rate. And for month one, the 2 discussion topics, just so you've got them in your head when you see the survey feedback around the relevance of the topics, were building inclusive work environments and building a professional support network. So the way that I've structured this is I went through the WooFoo survey feedback, which comes in Excel, and I looked at specifically mentees first, and I looked at all the questions and did a little bit of numerical analysis to say who came in with each answer choice. And then I've got some free-form comments coming up on the following slides. So the first question is sort of that overall, how satisfied are you with the overall mentoring session this month? Well, I loved seeing this because every single person, 100% of people that responded were either satisfied or very satisfied. And then I asked a question around the discussion topics for this month. And again, 100% of them said they were either relevant or very relevant. And then the third one, this one will get more important, I think, as we move into month 2 and month 3. But I asked, do you feel like you're making progress towards your goals with the support of your mentor? So over 75% said agree or strongly agree. And then a couple of them said NA, which is a choice only for month 1. I put that in there just because month 1, it's the introduction, you're getting to know each other. It's totally okay if you don't feel like you've made progress at the end of the first meeting. And then the most relevant topics. So everybody said that building a professional support network was a great topic. And then around a third also said that the inclusive work environments was a good topic. So I'll take a quick pause. Love to hear your reactions. What do you guys think of the data that we're seeing so far for the mentees?
Great to see these.
I think it's pretty good for month 1, right?
Yeah, that was the vibe I got. I mean, I thought everything here is positive. I was glad to see the high percentages were very satisfied and very relevant. Any other perspectives?
This is Audrey. I was just going to add that, yeah, I mean, I was really happy when I went through the surveys myself to see that we were getting overall really positive feedback. And, I definitely see like areas we could enhance even, but I do that, no, this seems like a really great start for month 1.
Awesome. All right. And then I pulled a couple comments from the surveys. So the first one, the communication over email has been descriptive and the manual is useful. And we also enjoyed the prompt questions as it helps direct the conversation. So that just reinforces that the playbooks are a good start. And as Audrey alluded to, we've got some changes that we're going to make, but we're at least moving in the right direction. And this other mentee said that they feel like they've made a good connection with their mentor, seemed to have a lot in common, and she was open to sharing her experiences. So I loved that people took the time to put in those free-form comments for month one. And I see we got Mary joined us. Hi, Mary. All right. And then I pulled out some constructive comments as well, and I underlined the parts that really caught my attention. So this mentee said it was helpful to have guiding topics since this was the first month, but we'll see how that progresses into following months, depending on the mentoring needs of the mentee, since not all mentees will have the same goals or needs. I thought that was totally fair. And then the last piece I thought was really good as well. Per the guideline, a lot of time is allocated to these pre-selected topics. So you'll see I've got some summary thoughts at the end where I address that piece there. And then kind of a similar comment, this was the first meeting so far, I'm pleased. It was more of a get to know you session. So honestly, the discussion topics weren't really that helpful. So again, I totally get it. And I've got some thoughts on how we can adjust the structure of the pre-work in month one so that these topics are getting the time that they deserve. And we're also giving enough time for the mentors and mentees to get to know each other. So that's what I have in terms of mentee feedback. Any other reactions you guys want to share before we look at what the mentor said?
Um, we maybe get to this, Stacy.
Mhm.
You can hear me. This is Tammy. I had
Yes.
sent you an email, and is that something we can touch on at the end? Had you seen that?
I'm sure I saw it. I don't know if I went back and grabbed it for today. So if I don't cover it,
Got it. Okay.
I'll come back to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else at this point want to talk about what we've seen on the mentee side? All right, let's keep moving. So on the mentor side, they had some questions that were a little bit different just because they're playing a different role in the program. So the first one was, how would you rate your mentees' progress towards their goals and development since the last session? And again, for this one, I had a choice NA. It's only a choice for the first month. So just under half chose that, which I think is totally fair. And then over a third already said their mentees made excellent progress just during that first conversation. And then just under 20% said satisfactory progress. And then this one was a little bit different than the mentees' feedback. So how relevant and useful were the discussion topics? So over half said very relevant, over a quarter said somewhat relevant, and around 18% said not relevant. And I'm thinking those are probably related to the fact that in month one, they were trying to do a lot of introductory get to know you as well as the topics. So I think there maybe wasn't enough time to cover some of the topics. So we'll address that as we move forward in the program. And then I loved the answers for this one. So how would you describe the level of engagement and participation from your mentee during the conversation? So over 90% said it was high or very high, which I think is awesome, especially considering it's women that haven't met each other before. And most of them are not all, if not all of them, are meeting with each other virtually for the first time. And they already felt that really strong connection. And then in terms of feedback on topic, they were in alignment. So almost everyone agreed that building a professional support network was super important. And then inclusive work environments was also important, but maybe not as heavily touched upon. Any reactions on the statistics from the mentor side? Okay. And then I pulled out some more individual comments. So from the mentors, we had, I should have taken the name out. I apologize on that. So my mentee is delightful. I'm happy to have met her. I feel like we were expertly matched. So that was nice to hear. No suggestions at this time. I enjoyed the time spent in the first month with the mentee. And this one I got via email yesterday. So I had a great lunch meeting last week with her. She informed me she got the position she was going out for. So this was great news. We talked about how she begins the transition to the new position and challenges she might face and how to work on those. Great meeting. And my mid-month sync up email with her will be right after she begins her new position. Things are going very well. So I love that people were willing to spend the time to share these free form comments, and they've also been sending in their comments, both constructive and positive via email. So I'm capturing all of those as well. Now on the constructive side, I think these line up with what we saw in the mentees. So I think my biggest reflection is that the pace we're expected to meet. So the first meeting is almost completely introductory, which means heavy loading with topics in month one isn't really a good idea. So perhaps topics like those can hit into future months. And along the same lines, it's solid so far, a bit rushed to fit this all in 3 months, but it's a pilot. So based on all these comments and my experience with the program so far, I had, and also other feedback I've received. Here's some other feedback I received specifically around the mentor and mentee playbooks. So I wanted to talk through those. And then I've got some summary feedback on the next slide. So for the playbook, remember we've got one for mentors and one for mentees. And the suggestions these are great. So add in information on social styles in month one, along with some talking points, which I think is a nice connection because we asked folks to complete those assessments and share with their partner, but we could have given them more support in the playbook around discussing that together. And then this was a nice recommendation, put in there for month one, share LinkedIn profiles and resumes. And then my additional thought was maybe add in resources for refining those to a later month in the program. And then other improvements to the playbook, streamline the structure. So sections 3, 4, and 5, there was a little bit of repetitive information, and folks said it'd be easier to follow if we took some of that repeat out. And then reformat it so that each month starts and stops on separate pages so you can refer to them more easily. So then my own thoughts after reviewing all of this and working with everyone on the program the past month, definitely streamline the playbooks, build in more time for pre-work, update month one to include more time for mentor and mentee to get to know each other and or reduce the topic load so that folks aren't feeling as rushed that first month. And then I plan to build out a chapter leader playbook with all the email reminders and survey links I've been sending out throughout the pilot so that it's easy for you to follow the behind the scenes process to keep things moving. So with that, I want to take a big pause. And Tammy, now would be a good time, what you'd like to share. And then for everyone else, any other feedback you've heard or any of your own that you'd like to share.
Okay, yeah, I think the detailed feedback given on the improvements is really good. And I like to see the specificness that was included in there. Like, for example, put all this month on one page and included everything down from formatting and sections. And so really specific feedback that allows you to take the needed action. So that
absolutely
was great.
Yeah.
And then my observation was that the WiM Georgia group had featured some of their mentors and mentees on LinkedIn, and that was something I wanted to recreate. So I was trying to figure out how they did that because I don't have their pictures, or maybe I missed them. So
I gotcha. I did not have a chance to look at that LinkedIn post, so I'm going to take a note to look at that. And I don't believe that as part of this program we captured their photos, but that is a nice piece of feedback because it's certainly something we could do to help chapters really make this something where you're promoting the program, you're promoting the chapter, the good work you're doing.
Yeah, kind of like a toolkit for us to promote their active participation and the amount of effort involved in doing something like this.
Perfect. Let me just get my to the right.
I can provide some feedback on that.
Please.
We just shared the emails with our marketing person who handles LinkedIn for us. Because
Okay.
she's always looking for content and it's hard to create content.
Me
And so
too.
we explained that we were a part of this pilot and, you know, we walked through all the pieces with her and she reached out to each of them individually and asked, like, we came up with a list of questions. And then she asked
Yeah.
those questions of them and said, would you be okay if we feature you?
Sure.
And then we're
Yeah.
doing that. So then it's a campaign that we're running
Great.
throughout the process so that she's got content and we're
Mhm.
sharing the information. And now like you're getting better visibility because we're linking to them and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, Kate, thank you. And I think we could do two things. We could obviously take that feedback and incorporate it into this program, like we were discussing just there. And if I could get the mentee and mentor list again, I guess, I mean, I could go ahead and reach out to them because, you know, we still
Yeah.
got some time, and that'll give us some upcoming content, like Kate said.
And this is Audrey, just to chime in, because that is a really good, it's a good point to illuminate. Something we can do for future programs is in the like initial survey that we have people fill out. Maybe we can add like a field where we say like, are you okay with the chapter that's running this program promoting your or like sharing your participation on social, and then have them attach their headshot. So I think
Exactly.
from our end as an improvement too. That's a
Love
good
it.
point.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Audrey, you may want to reach out to Nadine, or I can ask Nadine to send you the list of questions that she used. You could maybe even just include those, or you guys could come up with your own and then
Yeah.
have them answer it. And then you've already got the content right there instead of having to directly, you know, contact them individually, wait for their replies. I mean, I would still recommend letting them know, hey, this is coming so they can keep an eye out if they're not a very active LinkedIn member. But I know it's definitely helping us to grow our LinkedIn presence, where I think we started, and Claire can probably confirm this for me, but when we started, we had fewer than 500 LinkedIn followers. I think we might have only had 200 LinkedIn. Do you recall,
Mhm.
Claire?
Yeah, Nadine's done an incredible job of just the engagement has been a huge priority. And I think I'm looking at us now, the
Like
last
1,300.
Yeah, the last 30 days
Sure.
we've increased our page views by 32%. And of those views, 79% of them have been unique visitors. So people that we haven't been able to engage with prior. Our total followers in the last 30 days have increased 71. And total followers are 303 as of right now. So just engaging in the spotlight of even just the mentees, mentors, right? We're engaging with their network and they're sharing and we're reaching new audiences.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
Kate
who
and
could send me
Nadine
that, please?
pardon?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask who could resend the list of mentees and
Yeah,
mentors.
I can send those lists to each chapter, and then it sounds like we want to steal shamelessly from Nadine. So if she's willing to share those questions and
Yes.
process with Audrey and I, we can get those built into the WooFoo and then share with all the rest as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Nadine was in the chapter leadership event as well. So and she said she could share. So I can reach out to her too, just so we can get something started. But yeah, if you guys send Tammy and like send us the Kentucky people
Will do.
and I'll get started. Yeah, great job. Thank you all.
Yes, great job. These are great suggestions. You guys are doing amazing with this, with promoting and getting interest and making it such a value add for the chapters. Nice. What else? Other feedback you've heard? Other ideas you have? Oh, let me check the chat here. Let's see, Audrey says adding in a marketing promo timeline to the playbook. Yes, totally agree. That's a must do. Yep. Anything else? Have you heard from any mentors or mentees in your area, or any other observations as you've been a part of the emails and the meetings? Okay. Go
I
ahead.
know there's a couple chapters, and maybe it's not folks that are on today's call that had folks from their own companies that were participating. I know, I want to say Molly maybe was that, and I don't know if anybody else, but has anybody who might be in that situation gotten any feedback from their colleagues that might be participating? And if not, that's okay too. We'll continue to survey, of course, as well.
All right. Okay, let me see what else I've got. So that's what I had in terms of feedback to share, and I really appreciate all those excellent ideas and insights that you guys just shared. And then just to confirm what we're doing for the remainder of the next stage of the pilot. So we're in the month 2 cycle. So I set out a reminder note yesterday. So mentors and mentees should be completing their month 2 live conversation, hopefully by the end of this week, maybe early next week, just because of the holiday. And then the mentors will be sending out their async check-in the middle of the month. So by like September 9th or 10th. And then at the end of the cycle for this month, which is around September 10th through 16th, I'll send the month 2 surveys to mentors and mentees and compile the feedback just like I did this time. And then I'll schedule another feedback session towards the end of September for all of us to participate in so we can review that second month of data, see if we're seeing any trends, any new specific positive or constructive comments that we want to act on, etc. So, in summary, I'm really happy with the feedback that we've received so far. I'm really thankful for all of your feedback and participation, as well as from the mentors and mentees. They've all been great about giving me their individual perspective and sharing things in the survey and in the email. And I'm really looking forward to the remainder of the program. And I think we're going to be able to build something really awesome based on what we learn in this pilot. So that's really all I had. What other things do we want to discuss, or what other questions do you guys have?
I was just going to add from, National's perspective, I'll be thinking about, kind of a marketing timeline for the 3 months of the program for chapters. So I'll take a look at each of your chapters and see what you've been doing on LinkedIn, to kind of get suggestions and ideas. But if there is anything that you're doing uniquely with your participants, whether it's, individual outreach that maybe you're doing outside of what Stacy's recommended, or just anything that might not be documented that we could have as food for thought to recommend to other chapters in the future, definitely feel free to keep on me and let me know as well. And I really appreciate each of you. I know this is another project on top of all of your other chapter projects, life projects, work projects. So I just really appreciate your 3 chapters stepping up and being willing to pilot this with us, because we are really learning so much. And I know we're going to come out of this with a really great program to offer.
Thank you, Audrey. I couldn't have said it better. This is a collaborative effort, and the engagement and dedication and participation of everyone as we're building the train, as we're running it, has been so great. And I'm so incredibly thankful to be working on this with all of you.
Yes, and thank you to you too, Stacy. I should have had you. You are a tremendous resource to us as always, and thank you for all of your efforts to get us through this pilot and get this designed. And I'm excited to see what comes out of month 2.
Me too. Anything else, ladies? Any other last ideas or thoughts before we adjourn? All right. Well, I really appreciate the time. I'll just look in the chat real quick. Yes, thank you too, Tammy. Thank you all so much for this. I really appreciate it. And I'll follow up on our actions that we have from today's call, and I'll send you the link to the recording in case you were really curious and want to re-listen to it. So thanks, everybody. It was good to see you. Appreciate your insights, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.